Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, Debunking Mythology. Sattology means science or truth or study of truth. Opposite to that is mythology, which means science or study of fake lie or imagination. So, when I was writing my book, One Arrow, One Kill, and I was trying to study the descriptions of Valmiki Ramayan, and I was astounded that many places in Sri Lanka, by the Sri Lankan government, were touted as being Ramayan places. And that is and I do not know on what basis they did that. And I couldn't understand because Sri Lanka's British name was, Sri Lanka is the name they adopted in 1972. And the British name was Ceylon. And the local Sri Lankans call themselves as Sinhalese, Sinhala. Now that comes from an ancient Indian name, Sanskrit name, mentioned in Indian text Bhagavad Puran and also Surya Siddhanta, Yajnavalkya's Surya Siddhanta, as Simala Dweep, in Simala Island. Now, if you look at the Bhagavad Puran, it mentions 7 different islands south of India. One of them was Simhala Dweep, another one was Suvarnapastha, third one was Lanka, and Lanka was told to be at 00 meridian as per all available texts. And suddenly I find this place, Sigiriya, and Sigiriya was told to be like a Ravana's palace. And I could not surprise myself more, I was astonished actually, and could not hold my utter surprise that why would a Sri Lankan government would name something to mislead people. And why I'm saying mislead with a lot of responsibility, I'm saying, because even though we can easily say that the Indian texts, especially like Valmiki Ramayan, have proved to be extremely accurate in their descriptions, because the author of this great text known as Valmiki Ramayan is Valmiki. And Valmiki he could see all the events of Bhagwan Ram's Leela in the world, and he recorded them as it is. Every single place in the world has been recorded in Valmiki Ramayan so accurately that you can't be even surprised. In my earlier shows, I talked about Peru. And in Peru, you have in local language, they call it Peru. But in English language, they call it Peru. In Peru, they have beautifully the Candela Paracas. This name is found mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. There is another video of mine you can check out on this channel where I'm traveling to that place and recording that yes, it is there. It's a Yagyavedika. The church over there calls it a candle. So therefore they put it Candela Paracas. Means candle whose antiquity they don't know. Paracas. And I don't know what it means in Spanish language, but what the local translators told me that yes, their history they don't know. And that's correct. So Peru is a historical place of spiritual significance. But today we're going to focus on Sigiriya, a palace which is supposedly claimed to be made by Ravana in Lanka. And then I'm going to contrast you what is the Valmiki Ramayana actually say for that place. Okay, let's begin. So let's go to Sri Lanka. So if you see my screen, I'm going to minimize myself. We are in Sri Lanka. Now, if you look at I'm going to go back and start with the Sigiriya line rock. So this is the place which you're talking about. If you can see my screen, you can comment on that. Now, this place This we are showing, if you look at the top view of this place, let us go down and here you go. This is the Lion Rock, Sigiriya Lion Rock, because there are paws of the lion over there. Now this is right in the middle of Simala Dweep. Simala will refer to it as a Simala Dweep because Sri Lankans, they themselves call it as Simala. They call themselves Sinhalese as per their nationality. Their flags have lion symbols on them. And is lion a national animal of Sri Lanka? We don't know. We need to find out. So this is the place called Sigiriya Lion Rock. Now Sigiriya Lion Rock is a beautiful structure. It's got a pond on the top of the hill, which is almost 7 feet deep, and the water is collected through the rainfall or any other. But this pond never overflows. This is the thing which I was told actually. And there's a view from this place, and this place is standing like a rock in the middle of nowhere. This was also made by a so there are many kings over there. King Kashyap is the one who is said to be protecting this. But the historical records show this place was pre-existing, has been an occupation by different kings over the period of time. That is true. Just like today also, in a span of 40 years, 50 years, you have 5 or 6 political leaders. Same way this place also has been populated by many people. And it has got beautiful entrances, beautiful parks, beautiful things have been made around this. So it is a palace, and it's on a rock formation, which is said to be a volcanic rock formation. Now, this is supposed to be a very old area, and that structure is almost like a pyramid on the top, almost like a pyramid. Pyramids are generally the Sri Yantra or made in a typical Indian architecture, where the Vastu is said to collect all the energies towards the top. It's a temple structure. It's based on Vastukala, and it is found all over the world. Pyramid structures are in USA. I'm going to bring out another show on that. Pyramid structures are in Africa. Pyramid structures are in various parts of the world, and all of them completely follow a Indian Vastu system. And people may say, "Oh, the most of the alien theories emanate from Western academicians because they had made a wrong assumption that the world began in the 17th century when they started getting the enlightenment for discovery after they started colonizing the world, and that's how they think that the whole world started in the 17th century. But these places are so old and so advanced than anything the Western world even knew. And this place exactly tells you that in the 700 BC area, 800 BC area, also there were palaces here. Now, this is Sigiriya Line Rock. Now, why it doesn't fit into the Ramayan description? I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. Now, another one is a royal cave which is turned into a Buddhist temple. Now, most of the Buddhism made their temples in places where Hindus were there or predominant culture was Hindu. So they made those caves and temples there, and most of the Buddhist statues also resemble many Hindu deities. They did not change the nature. Like this person in this photograph, you'll see a person is sitting with a snake on top of his head, which is a classical description of Vishnu. So probably this place was a Vishnu temple, and then they replaced that with Buddha and put it, which is Sheshnag for Vishnu. So they showed it like that. And this is a history actually all over Southeast Asia, in China, other places, where the Buddhist temples were already temples before of some other culture, which is probably Hindu, and they are known as Buddhist temple. Like in this particular case, you'll see there is a trident on top, represents Shiva. And so this is a beautiful cave temple, and is existing in that place. Now, why I showed you, but this is all part of the Sri Lanka tour, cultural circle, they call it, cultural triangle. Now, let's go back to the descriptions from Valmiki Ramayana. And if you want to know more details, you can always check out my book. I'm going to show you my book, which is here. You can show that is One Arrow, One Kill. If you search Sattology on Amazon, you'll see this book. And I have detailed what I'm describing you. I put it over there with pictures. And then I come to, so let's go to the map again. Now, in the Valmiki Ramayana, it is filled with so many geographical accuracies that you can't even go wrong. Geography is described very well. There are more than 300 different versions of Ramayana. Most of them focus on spiritual aspect and also tell you stories in much detail in local versions. Like there are Ramayana in Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, all the Southeast Asian countries have the same Ramayana description. Especially in Thailand, where the kings of Thailand are known as Rama. Indonesia, Ramayana is taught to every single child over there, even though it's an Islamic country, but the culture is based on Ramayana. Same is with if you go further east in Vietnam, Cambodia, any of those countries, Ramayana is being taught or is part of the culture, part of the cultural dances. Colonial imposition, and if you look at the Philippines, Philippines had a very strong Ramayana culture because it is very close to Kalimantan. Kalimantan is a place which is intrinsically connected to Ramayana. And the colonial Spaniards destroyed Philippines' local culture, religion through force, through sword, and forced them to convert into Catholic system, Catholic Catholicism. And so it's probably the only Catholic country and in Asia, and where the predominant religion is Catholicism, and it's a very poor country because people are confused. What is their culture? They cannot be Spaniards because Spaniards won't accept them. They can't be the church because they're brown skin, and people in Asia would look at them in surprise. Like, what kind of religion you're following? It's a confused country. Now, coming to, and this is my personal view. So coming to back to the Ramayana. Now, if you look at the Valmiki Ramayana description, so this is the place from which Hanuman jumped. It's in Kotiamman temple, from where Hanuman jumped to Lanka. Now, and he jumped in the southern direction. Like if you look at here, I'll show you there is a beautiful temple here, and this Isaki Amman temple in Mupandal. I've been there, and you'll see my videos over there, and there exactly you see the temple, the mountain, which is Mahendra Giri. And from if you climb on the top of the mountain, you can see a very clear view of the ocean. Exactly, this is the mountain from the temple you're taking, and see a clear view of the ocean. Now, if I go back to the mountain for a second, and you see a clear view of the ocean from there, and the Valmiki Ramayana describes it. Let's drill down. Valmiki Ramayana describes it as a place at 00 meridian. 00 meridian comes to, if you look at it, other city. exactly at Addu City. This is where it comes in, 00 meridian. And 00 meridian from a line passing through Ujjain and Rohtak. Ujjain and Rohtak, and you do a straight line down, it comes to this area, Addu City, and this mountain range. Now, Valmiki Ramayana describes this place as Lamb Pahad. Lamb Pahad is like almost steering the sky, almost steering the sky, like it's a straight line, and you can see a formation here with a straight line. But I'm going to share with you a another map, which is uh, which is actually displays in much more detail. So let's okay. Here is a map. Let me share the screen. Okay. So this map is by David Rumsey Map Collection, and I give full credit to them. I'm just showing it for education purposes, and with due respects to all of them, it is for Ramayana study, and they show this map. Now, if you look at the southern tip, if you look my yellow pointer, and you look at the southern tip, Lamba Pahar, you see this range, entire range is called Chagos Archipelago, and you see an island chain which consists of countries like Maldives is almost tearing the sky, cutting through the sky, and that's a map without the ocean water, and you drill down into it. This is the map. Maldives islands are there. It's called Chagos Archipelago, and then you have many trenches here, and 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 you see this completely stretching Lambu Pahad. Looks like a mountain range with a trench and almost tearing the sky. Deep and very high mountains. And then you see a side hill which is coming below, which you see in the maps also, tearing the almost like cutting through the sky. So this is the exact description of Lambu Pahad, mountains, chain. So we already said that Sri Lanka is an island, similar to different island. This is where the Lanka city was located at 00. And you can see the map. When you see it is a whole mountain range, and on top of these cities the Lanka buildings were made with white, red and gold. So their windows buildings were made with white, and the doors were made of gold and red doors with golden boundaries. So that's the description of this place map. Now this is very stark, because this, if you look at the oceanographic maps, it presents a much more clearer picture of those places. And that's why the Lanka Ravan needed planes to fly to his territories, which are north in India up to Nashik, a city near Mumbai. And and that's why he needed planes. And there is another record of this beautiful temple called Varkala, Janardhan Swami temple, which I visited over there. This is a great banyan tree. And this banyan tree, if you look at the history of this tree, it proceeded, it its branches went to the ocean. And it was so big, even today is big. And branches went to the ocean, and this is where Marichi used to live with Valkilya Munis and do his tapasya. He wanted to hide from Ravan. Ravan was found out, and this is where he convinced him to kidnap Sita. And this temple is still there. And the temple, any historians will tell you, this is a very famous banyan tree. and this was huge. It was cut down during British times. And this is also a place where there were a famous story of Garuda and snake happened. Elephant and snake happened. And where Garuda sat on the branches of this tree, and that's how the tree fell down. And this is the local people are also going to tell you. The local temple authorities and historians, even Ramanujacharya, old records are there about this tree being used by various rishis who were small in size. And this is where Marichi was hiding. And so if you look at the location of this place, so this location, if you see, is almost like if you are coming, then you have to come through plane from this place, from the west of India to come here. He did not have to fly, Ravan did not have to fly from the east of India, southeast of India to come here. Then he would have crossed the entire peninsula. He didn't do that. He came through the ocean, and on the right side was this temple tree, and where he went to that place inside. And that's exactly he did. So this place has all the this place has all the data for that. And probably during that time, the 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 land was more because the ocean levels were lower. But then it is described that they passed through villages on the right side of the plain, Pushpak Viman, and they saw many farming happening in the ocean of or cultivation of gems and farms and spices, all those things he said towards the right. So this is the exact direction. So I do not know why Sigiriya was declared to be Ravan's palace, and this mythology goes on again and again. I can understand one thing, that to attract tourists, Simala Dweep assumed, and Ceylon assumed a name called Sri Lanka. And I also know for a fact that after the oceans went down, because Simala Dweep was already part of Lanka, Ravan's kingdom from Lanka, but so maybe Vibhishan went there or some other Lanka Rakshas went there and controlled the territory. So it was still part of Lanka's kingdom. But that being the exact Ravan's palace, I don't know. Because Ravan's palace was completely destroyed after the war. And when the oceans rose up, they assumed the entire thing was down. So technically speaking, this entire Chagos archipelago, which is Lamba Pahad, which you see that right now, traces of it coming on top as islands, this was part of Ravan's Lanka. And there's no other description to it. There's no other description. I hope you like this video. Do like, share, subscribe, and get my book. I will again show you my book, and we'll see a lot of data over there. Plus, I keep producing videos on Valmiki Ramayan, where you can see it and 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 learn from it. So thank you all for watching, and namaste, and thank you. And I do subscribe to the channel for more such content, and we'll keep talking about debunking mythology in various parts of the world. Namaste.